I look at the market in three markets. There's the haves, the have-nots, and everyone else.
Hey, thanks for joining us on the Franchising 360 YouTube channel. We got some bonus footage from our guest, Peter Ross, CEO of Senior Helpers. Peter, thanks for sticking around a
Sure,
little
my
bit.
pleasure. This is fun.
In franchising, we're typically pretty shy and don't like talking.
Never,
So
never shy.
enjoy you sticking it out. And you've been in the franchising industry a long time. You know this is a people business. Always like hearing stories. How did you get started in this crazy?
Well, I did the corporate route for 20 years. So right out of school, went to work for ADP, ended up as VP of marketing for the company. Went to Ernst& Young to get more of a financial background, but ran marketing for them for a while. And then went to Intuit as vice president of sales. So that was my upbringing there. One of the companies I went to help my entrepreneur was in the PEO industry, so employee leasing. And that's where I met my partner, Tony Bonacuse, who helped found Senior Helpers with me. So we started talking about what we want to do and how we could work together. And we went out to lunch one day in Columbia, Maryland, and we said we're going to come up with 5 business ideas. And I had to make 3 criteria: growing industry, we like recurring revenue, we didn't want to work with Uncle Sam.
Right.
So those were our criteria. So we came back, we went to the restaurant. Well, I couldn't call it a restaurant, it was a Subway. Nothing against Subway, I love franchising. But at the same time, we were just sitting there, and on the top of both of our lists were senior care.
Okay.
That's how Senior Helpers was formed. And, I drank the Kool-Aid. I had a great consultant with iFranchise, a great attorney at DLA Piper. Really, I ran large organizations for big companies, but never franchising. So I need to really understood that. So we hired the right people, got some really good training. I drank the franchise Kool-Aid. And then 4 brands later, I'm still very much the franchise Kool-Aid. I think it's people in business for themselves, by themselves, but not by themselves. And just the ability to see franchisees that grow their significant business, they sell it someday for
Yeah.
a lifelong opportunity to retire very well. And I just love seeing that success. It just makes you feel so good. And plus, you're doing something that's really good as a mission-driven kind of company, because they've all been in healthcare.
Yeah. So we talked a lot about Senior Helpers. One of the kind of, I guess, sister of Senior
Well,
Helpers,
sister from my perspective, because I own it, but it's Town Square.
Town Square.
And that's the one I currently have with Senior Helpers. So Town Square is an adult day center, really focused at people, helping them to have a great socialization, great activities. It's like a working town from the 1960s. It's really cool. And
Yeah.
but at the same time, when I look at senior care, I look at the market in 3 markets. There's the haves, the have-nots, and everyone else. And the haves are what we started the business with: people that can pay you privately.
Right.
They can do whatever they want with home care. They can afford it. They can do it for as long as they like. The have-nots are people that are government. They need to be subsidized by Medicaid or some type of program like the Veterans Administration. And we now do that at Senior Helpers. We do that at Town Square. So we're able to go after that market. The real challenge market for all of senior care is that everyone else, that middle class. Those are folks that are too well off to get government to jump in, but they're not well enough to afford home care the traditional way. So Town Square was really created for that, because it's about half the price of home care.
Right. So, and that's you said an adult daycare. So talk a little bit about what goes on at Town Square.
Yeah, so we basically, when people come in and get enrolled, as we call them members, we want them to feel like they belong. They are enrolled. We look at how their cognitive abilities are. What do they like to do? We put them in tracks within Town Square. So it's almost like going back to school. First period might be gym. Second period could be, I'm going to do art. Third period could be health. So you're doing those types of things where we're doing activities in each of these storefronts within Town Square. We have a diner, we have a movie theater. We really want to make sure that they're learning, they're active. We want to keep them busy while they're there. They're fun. I mean, most adult daycare, I always equate Town Square compared to a current adult day, which are mostly not-for-profit, Medicaid model only, is like your neighborhood park. It's cute, it's nice.
Right.
It's a nice breeze there, but Town Square is your neighborhood Disneyland at the same price. Where would you like to go?
Right. And so it looks like the inside of it has a lot of kind of 1950s, 60s ish type of
Mid-century
things,
stuff, yeah.
right? So, and that's not accident, that's by design. So talk a little bit about the theory behind that.
Yeah. So as people age, a lot of times in our lives, most of our memories were, in between ages 15 and 30. First boyfriend, girlfriend, high school, college, first career, family, marriage, all those things happen
Right.
during those times. And when you're getting older, especially folks that are dealing with cognitive impairment, they have a really good history of their long-term memory. So giving them a place, we call it reminiscent therapy.
Right.
So giving something that looks familiar to them makes them feel their surroundings are familiar, that gets them more comfortable, and that makes them thrive in that environment.
Well, and we had an opportunity. You guys were kind enough to invite some of our Fran Coach team
Mm-hmm.
over to the one in Sarasota, gosh, a year or so ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were all just blown away by what it really looked like in person, but how active everybody was.
Mm-hmm.
And even some of like the kind of, you mentioned art classes, man, it's like there's some talent in there, right?
Oh,
But
these people were talented. Just
right.
because they're older didn't mean they had a career or they weren't good at things. So
But it's your like, I think sometimes maybe my perception ahead of time was, adult daycare, like, grandma's just in there taking a nap. Like like everybody's staying very active physically, but also mentally, which is again helping them live healthier and longer lives. Correct?
exactly. What Town Square does differently than home care is gives it socialization. You're in there with a bunch of people,
Right.
so you're able to socialize with people. And sometimes in home care, it's one-to-one. So you get them into an environment that they're comfortable with. We want them to be active. We were on the Today Show years ago, and Maria Shriver, we toured her of the one in San Diego, and she asked where the cots were. And I told her, we don't want people
Right.
sleeping.
Right.
We want seniors to be active and fulfilled when they are at Town Square. In fact, most adult days have, their participants are looking at the clock at 3 o'clock.
Right.
We've got to kick our people out. They don't want to leave. But when they do go home, we don't want the family caregiver having to be, oh, they slept all day. Imagine your kids going to daycare, okay, pumping them full of sugar,
Right.
not letting them rest or anything, and then come home and they're bouncing off the walls. We don't want that with seniors either. We want seniors to be tired when they go home,
Yeah.
so they get a good night's sleep.
Amazing. Yeah, no, it was I don't know that I will ever forget that experience of seeing what that was like and seeing how
We have 10 of them open now, so it's growing.
everybody was interactive. Talk a little bit about the industry in general of senior care, whether it's in home or something like Town Square. Where do you see the next 5-10 years?
I think technology is going to play a huge role. I think AI will continue to be more open. Even with home care, we're in the home 20, 30 hours a week. There's 168 hours in a week.
Yeah.
So that family, that family needs that peace of mind. And technology can give that to them. We have technology we have in the home now at Senior Helpers that can tell if someone falls without them ever pushing a button.
Oh, wow.
It can actually look at how many times they go to the bathroom, how well they sleep at night. It does, if there's any behaviors that just doesn't seem right, it's really has this really intuitiveness to really take a look at that, which is so proactive for us. It makes a huge difference. You want that peace of mind. Even if the people that had these personal response systems, you've seen them,
Yeah.
I've fallen and I can't get up, the old pendants or a watch. 70% of the time that they fall, they don't push it.
Right.
Most of the time they're unconscious. That's another reason why not to push it.
Right.
But at the same time, they don't want to bother people. They don't want the fire department to break their front door. They'll get up eventually.
Right.
So technology is going to play a huge role. The government's going to have to get in, step in and start. Medicare now pays for home care and adult day. So there are options when people have dementia to get some of that care paid by Medicare. That's a huge win for our industry. Going forward, it's going to be more of the government time. Government wants you to live out your life at home, and they made it very clear. People want to live out their life at home. The government wants you to live out your life at home. So how do we do that? You do it through home care. You do it through senior care. You do it through adult day. You do it through providing the resources and tools for families to really, really flourish at home and have a quality of life they deserve.
Yeah. What's maybe a big kind of challenge or hurdle that you see either now or kind of coming in the industry?
Well, I think, as we try to go after that everyone else category is how do we really frame that? We have some really great services and products with Senior Helpers to that, take care of that. So it's really kind of a different kind of home care. It's not hourly care. It's based on what you need from us, not versus how many hours you need.
Gotcha.
So I think we have to be creative. And I think the more innovation we use the technology, I think sometimes people tend not to want to change. I think the good news with baby boomers turning 65 every day and now turning 80 in a couple of years, okay, they're used to social media. They're used to some technology. So I think they'll be more open to technology than my parents were, because it was just not common for them to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. You've been in franchising a long time. You worked with four different brands. Somebody sitting out there right now thinking, geez, I wonder if this is for me and is franchise ownership for me? What advice would you give somebody?
Well, I think 92% of the people in this country want to own their own business. Less than 1% do. Okay. It's all about risk reward. Okay. You have to decide as someone in your life, as you grow your career, do you want your control of your career or do you want to work for somebody else? And neither one of those are wrong answers. But I think what franchise opportunities are for franchise ownership gives you such an ability to control where you're going. But also, I think we're all put on this planet to make a difference in people's lives. And what we're doing in healthcare, what we're doing in senior care is changing lives. It's improving lives. It's improving the quality of life. Those are things that are special. I think if you have a chance to do something, that's what drew me to this industry was if you had something to do in your life, why don't you do something that's going to change the world? So I think it's a matter of them changing their world.
Right.
But they have to get comfortable with it. It's not for everybody. At the same time, you've got to look at it and say, do I want to be my own boss? You're not buying a job in franchising. Please don't think that's what you're doing. You're actually creating an opportunity for an asset that's going to be worth hopefully lots of money someday and take care of your family for a long time.
Yeah. And hopefully lots of money, and for sure more money than your job is when you can't sell it to the next person, right? That business, for there's going to be some value to it.
I love the comment because I've had people say, well, I don't have my stock plan. I don't have a 401k. You have the best stock plan on the planet. It's your company.
Right.
Okay. That's yours. You can't, to your point, sell your job to the next one.
Right.
And how long are they going to keep you in that job?
Yeah. Until they're done with you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, Peter Ross, thank you so much for joining us on our show on Franchising 360 and here on the YouTube channel. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Tim. Thank you.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.